Yada-da-da-da-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da-da-da-dum. Yada-da-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da-da-dum. Yada-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da-da. 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 Yada-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da-dum. Yada-da-da-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da-da. Yabba-ba-hi-ya-hi-ya-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da. Yada-da-hi-da-hi-da-da-dum-ba. Yada-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da-da. Yabba-ba-ya-ya-da. Yada-da-da-da-da. Yabba-ba-hi-ya-hi-ya-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da. Yada-da-hi-da-hi-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da-dum. Yada-da-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da-dum. Yada-da-da-da-da. Yada-da-hi-da-hi-da. Yabba-ba-ya-ya. Yada-da-hi-da-hi-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da-dum. Yada-da-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da-dum. Yada-da-da-da-da. Ya-ya-ya-dum. Ya-ba-ba-ya-ya. Yada-da-hi-da-hi-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da-dum. Yada-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da-da. Ya-ya-da-hi-da-hi-da-da-da-dum. Ya-ba-ba-ya-ya. Yada-da-hi-da-hi-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da. Yada-da-da-da-dum. Yada-da-da-da-dum. Shabbat Shalom, Moadim L'Simcha, on these intermediary days, or the Kol HaMoeds, the holiday, non-holiday part of Pesach that we're in. So good to be with all of you as we close out yesterday. Yesterday was day 3. So our work in the world yesterday was to stop 3 times and name something beautiful. Stop and see it and feel it and call attention and awareness to it. Breathing in the beauty that was, realizing for ourselves that every moment is just a moment that we're passing through. The realization of that was to not skip a beat, not to just take things for granted and be like, keep going and not even noticing, but to draw awareness to using our senses to say, hey, wait a second, I'm not going to just pass that by. I'm going to stop and I'm going to reflect and see and feel and taste and smell whatever that beautiful thing was. And so maybe some of us did the work, maybe some of us didn't, but nonetheless, here we are in this moment, and here we are to continue to count up. But before we can do so, we need a little bit of gratitude for that which was yesterday. Elisa, I missed you at services, but I hope you had whatever you were doing was a good night. And so I'm grateful that you're here counting. For those of you that are here counting, check in, let us know that you're here so we know who we're counting with. There's something to be said about knowing with whom we dwell. So as we end each day, before we begin the next day, we will stop and feel some gratitude. What are two things that happened for you since last night until this moment of time were two things that were worthy of gratitude? Two things that reminded you of being grateful. Or maybe you didn't in the moment, but maybe right now in this moment, looking back on the past 24 hours, what were two things that you could say, hey, wait a second, I'm grateful that something happened, or I felt this, or lived through this, whatever it was. What are those things? Oh, you were on YouTube. See, I didn't know you were there. Something about that YouTube thing. I think it's great. But I don't know. I like to know who's there. I'm grateful that you were there. That's one moment of gratitude. How great is the unfolding of all life. How deep the mystery. Let us continue to be in moments of gratitude, to see where we are. And so that brings us to how grateful we are to show up so many times, 3 times on a Friday, to show up, the opportunity to show up with gratitude. So we're in the week of just reminder. We don't have to be reminded that much because we're 3 days through, moving on to the next one. But we're in the week of chesed. We're in the week of loving kindness, reminding ourselves that our ability to reach above and beyond ourselves in places of love are worthy of love. And so we had chesed, sheva chesed, we've had gevura, sheva chesed, and tiferet, and we're moving forward from that moment into this current moment where we are. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al svirata Omer, al svirata Omer, al svirata Omer, al svirata Omer. Hayom arba'a yamim laOmer. This is the 4th day of the Omer. Let us be merited by the idea that we are adding some sanctity to our lives by understanding more about ourselves through counting the Omer. So today is day 4. And what is day 4 if not Netzach Sheba Chesed? Netzach meaning persistence, endurance, ambition, perseverance, confidence, fortitude. Netzach. I just like to say the word. Netzach. Determination and tenacity. The readiness to go all the way. So here we are on our next day of the Omer. Day 4. Endurance, fortitude, ambition, the transformative power of love and generosity, the acts of kindness that change us and the world, cultivating the commitment to let what we love most and value guide our actions. And so a strong love can endure time, challenges, distance. A strong love can endure time, challenges, obstacles, frustration, ease, alloy, and distance. Netzach also um, contains maybe a characteristic such as ambition. You have to have direction, you have to have set goals in order to have a relationship strengthen over time, right? Otherwise, it just fizzles out. Otherwise, I don't know that I would characterize it as love, maybe rather as lust. And I don't only mean in romantic kind of relationship. It could be in any kind of relation with any other human in any other capacity, right? If you're all in, and you're only in the moment, I mean, it's important to be in the moment, don't get me wrong. But if we're only in the moment, chances are we're going to exhaust all that energy, and days, weeks, months in, it's not going to be there because we just don't have it to give because we're going to run out of purpose for it. But if there are goals as we go forward, if there's a little bit of direction, if we realize that life and relationship and love is not about a sprint, it's a slow climb, but nevertheless, it's a climb. Even when you're at a plateau, you know that there's going to be steps up ahead, right? It's like this idea of going to the Bronx Zoo and remembering as a kid how hilly and annoying the walking is. It's like going to Hershey Park and knowing that your calves are going to burn for days because everything in that park is hills, right? But we do it because it's a labor of love. All right, it's not only about Bronx Zoo and Hershey Park, but we realize in life that it's not going to just be this flat walking all the time. There's going to have to be some ups and some downs. And if we don't realize that we need to be in it, we need to commit to being in it. We have to nurture it. We have to reevaluate. We have to adjust our own perception and the perception of others, how we react to others. But we have to remember Netzach, that we have to endure what comes our way with persistence, that we have to put in the work because it's not going to all be easy. It just isn't. There's this eternity within love. If we want to make it work, no matter the relationship, we got to put in the work. Oh my God. Sorry, time out for 1 second. Marnie, my heart is happy. So, anyway, I'm going to just pause for 1 more second. So, those of you that know, you'll just have to endure. So, Rachel texted me right before I was going on for Omer, asking if Andrea was okay because we weren't in Mexico, or I mentioned that we weren't going to Mexico. So you might have missed the news, um, but it's not bad news, it's good news. Andrea is pregnant with twins. And so the doctor just said everything is going perfectly, but in the event, even though he doesn't think it would happen, that something would go wrong, he doesn't want us to be in Mexico. So she's 28 weeks pregnant. We have till the end of June to get through to be 37-ish weeks until they are delivered. And so that was the quick answer to that. Marnie, I just want to let you know, and this is not asking for a gift at all, but I just want you to know how we speak about you. I'm going to say almost daily, if not weekly. A blanket that you sent for Andrea after delivering Ellis is the blanket that remains on our couch that has been washed a million times, that everybody uses, and everybody's still commenting 3.5 years later about this blanket. And so it's just so funny that Rachel's asking, is she okay? Yes, she's perfectly fine. Well, if you ask her, she's not. She's still puking and all those bad things, but she's doing a good job of baking babies. So that's good. And as a twin mom, Rachel, you know how that could be. And then Marnie, here you are, and what a blessing that is to be with the two of you. And if you're in California, does it mean that you're together? Because that would be even more awesome. Anyway, let's get back to the work that is eternity. It doesn't matter what coast we're on, it is an eternal love that is just here from simply dropping kids off at Hebrew school years and years ago to kids that are college and beyond, And here we are continuing to connect. Samantha, we still love you even if you fell asleep, but you're here now, so that's good. So you're great. You didn't even get your homework yet, which is right now. So, what is the practice for today? Because the Omer is practicing. It's like being in any profession that we're in, we're just practicing. No one's perfect at anything that we're doing, but yet we are practitioners of getting better at knowing ourselves. So, today's work in the day 4, Netzach Sheba Chesed, eternity within love, is to ask ourselves 3 important questions. And those questions are: when am I acting from fear? When am I acting from anger? And what inspires me to act from love? When am I acting from fear? When am I acting from anger? And what inspires me to act from love? In the world in which we're living right now, especially for the Jews among us, and especially for those that are not Jewish, that are loving Jews, we're in a tough place. We're in a place where we're like fearful and we're angry, and yet we still have to find places of love, to act in ways of love. And that is not easy. But if we can identify what makes us act from fear, what causes that, and what causes us to instantly be angry and annoyed, and we can identify what inspires us to act from love, we can remember and we can remind ourselves that the life that we're living is a life that is a slow climb. It's like going from Pesach, literally Passover, from Exodus to receiving the Torah. It is a climb. We're trying to become the best versions of ourselves, but we can't get there without netzach, without persistence, without perseverance, without confidence, without this eternal feeling of, I know it's not going to be perfect, but I'm going to meet it with love as often as I can. So if I can identify what makes me angry, what makes me fearful, then I can find ways to match that with inspirations of loving action. So those are your questions for tonight. Psalm 119, verse 32 says, I will travel the path of connection, for you have expanded my heart. And so while the reference is to God, mystery, infinite being, spirit, universe, whatever that is for you, I think that each one of us here that are counting the Omer together have this camaraderie of, we're traveling the path of connection, for we expand each other's hearts because we're doing this soul work together. This is what it is. This is the holy work that is, and this is why we show up for one another. So let's continue to expand our hearts together so that we can walk the path of bumpy terrain ahead, slight inclines. I don't want it to be like Hershey Park, straight uphill, but I want it to be as exciting as it can be because we're here in the trenches holding hands saying, you know what? We want better for ourselves. We want better for our people, for our children, for the future, for the world, for humanity. And so we show up for ourselves first in order to get that holy work done. We are one human family, one heart of abundant love. We love you. Tomorrow I'll be here 9:30 in the morning for Shabbat morning service, 9:30 tomorrow night. Sunday will not be in the morning, but will be 9:30 at night. And then our connection continues Monday through Saturday, 9:30 a.m., Friday, 7:30 p.m., and then 7 days a week, 9:30 at night, as we continue to count up. I count on you, you count on me. Together we count the Omer as we reach revelation and our own unraveling, reveal of our own authentic self. How beautiful it was to be with you, Bonnie and Marnie and Rachel and Samantha, Donna, Elisa, whoever else is here, Amy. Let's all be together to continue this holy work. You are a blessing. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai.